This summer marks the 5th year we've focused on the critical, life-threatening danger of leaving children unattended in vehicles. Often when events are held annually and a particular theme is emphasized year after year, the message can become minimized. Perhaps we don't listen as intently as we once did. It's as if we become desensitized thinking, that won't happen to me. Well, I submit to you that the advice to look again is as important today in 2017 as ever before. Outside of car crashes, vehicular heat stroke is the #1 killer of children. Last year here in Georgia, 3 child deaths occurred because someone did not look again. A 13-month-old boy in Rossville died after being left in an SUV by his grandmother. And in Carrollton, 2 15-month-old twin girls left in an SUV by their father. These are the tragedies we are trying to prevent. Right from the start is the state agency responsible for licensing and regulating child care industry in Georgia. It's our job to help ensure that our state's youngest learners are cared for in a healthy and safe environment, which includes times children are transported while in child care. The last time a child died when left in a hot car while in the care of a Georgia child care program occurred in 2011, and it broke our hearts and was the catalyst for this important campaign to look again. Since then, we have maintained our focus on transportation safety. In fiscal year 2015, we investigated 8 cases where children were left in vehicles by child care providers for an extended period of time. Thankfully, all the children survived. We investigated that same number of cases in 2016, and so far this year, 4 children have been left in vehicles at child care programs. The numbers are dropping, but leaving even 1 child unattended in a vehicle is 1 child too many. This danger doesn't just apply to child care providers. More often it happens while children are in the care of their own family or friends. So today's warning goes out not only to child care centers, but to communities, neighborhoods, schools, churches, anywhere children gather, are cared for, and are being transported. That's why, again, this year we are honored to be joined by the Governor and the First Lady and these state agencies and child care advocates in reminding the general public to never leave a child alone in a vehicle, not even for a minute. And when you've checked your vehicle to make sure everyone has arrived safely and is out of the vehicle, look again and be sure to close and lock the doors. At this time, I am honored to introduce a man who needs no introduction, one of the most ardent advocates for the well-being of children in our state, Governor Nathan Deal. And again, thank him and the First Lady for the attention that you bring to this every year. Governor Deal.
Thank you very much, Amy, and let me express appreciation to you and your department for the good work that you do in a variety of different areas. Well, folks, if you haven't noticed, summer is upon us. Hot weather is here, and Sandra and I, as both parents and grandparents, are very well aware of the dangers that are associated with hot weather, cars, and children being left inside those cars. Just a brief overview of why this is important. I'm told, and I think the statistics bear it out, that children's body temperatures rise about 3 to 5 times faster than the body temperatures of adults. So therefore, because an adult does not respond to hot weather or even the temperatures inside of a car, does not mean that a child does not respond even more severely in that regard. So just cracking the window is not sufficient in most cases. Now, there are 3 categories that I want to talk about of areas of those of us who need to pay particular attention. And Amy has alluded to those already, but I'll do so again. First of all is to those who are providing child care through licensed providers. And as she has indicated, the indications are the statistics are getting better, but it's important for those who have custody of people's children, and there are about 337,000 children every day who are left in the hands of licensed child care providers. Make sure that you train your personnel. If they need extra training, if they need to be reminded of how important this one little function is, then we will assist in doing that. That's what we want to do, is to be of help to you. Because nobody wants a child to die, regardless of who's responsible. Nobody wants a child to die. But if you're in the business of being taking care of people's children, then you should be particularly interested in that, because it affects your reputation. It affects your ability to have the confidence of the other parents who are leaving their children with you on a daily basis. So to those professional child care providers, I would urge you, be sure that all of your personnel, those who are checking the school buses or the buses of transport when you're taking children to different locations, be sure that they look again. And then, of course, there's the rest of us. Those who are the parents, the grandparents, those who are taking care of children on behalf of parents or grandparents, those who are on a daily basis as a part of your responsibilities and your routines. Nobody questions that you have the highest and best intentions for that child, but carelessness and neglect can exact very high prices. And we would just simply remind ourselves and everyone else that you need to look again. And when you get to where you're going and you're transporting a child and you need to jump out and go into a business or whatever for even just a short time, well, first of all, nobody can predict if you're going into a business establishment how long it's going to take you to get back. I think that's a common mistake that people make is, well, I'm only going to be in there a minute or two. Well, you don't know. You don't know how long it's going to take you to find what you're looking for. You don't know how long it's going to take you to check out. And those minutes can be dangerous minutes. So take every precaution to make sure that you are dealing with the children's lives in a safe fashion. And don't leave the keys in the car with a child. It becomes a playground, and it can be a very dangerous playground for a child to have access to the keys to do whatever. We all have had personal circumstances where children can do strange things in a very short period of time. I recall one of our children, at the time we lived on a rather steep, hilly lot, and for whatever reason, our child, and they weren't really toddlers at that point, I don't believe, they hit the lever and took it out of park, and all of a sudden it comes rolling down the driveway. Thankfully, there was a tree there that caught it, but we never anticipated that. We never thought that would have happened, but it requires all of us to be especially cautious. So then the third category, and that's those of us in the general public. Now, most of us abide by the proposition that we ought to mind our own business. What a family does with their child is their business. Well, I am here to tell you, as a responsible citizen, that is not the appropriate attitude to take when it comes to seeing a child inside a locked or even an unlocked but hot vehicle. Take the time to care. Call 911. Now, if you're wrong in what you do, nobody is going to fault you for that. You're being cautious, and that's what we are all taught to do and what we all should do. So be a responsible citizen. You're not being nosy when your primary concern is the health, welfare, and actually the life of a child inside of a closed vehicle in hot weather. So thank you all for what you do on a daily basis. This is a matter of encouraging us all to be vigilant. We all have to be reminded of that from time to time, for even with the best of training, even with the best of intentions, if we do not have a priority of the important little things that can make the difference in the life of a child, then the bad things can happen. So this is a day, as we kick off this Look Again campaign, a day to remind us all, just take that extra time, take that extra precaution, be sensitive to an area where, as an adult, you probably would not be sensitive to it for your own sake. Be sensitive to it for the sake of a child. It's now my pleasure to introduce to you the lady who, just a day or so ago, and my days have all been lost in my travel overseas. I'm still not back on Georgia time quite yet, but She and I just celebrated our 51st wedding anniversary. And she's been telling me and our children what to do for all of those years. She's sort of become Georgia's mama. She tells us what we ought to do, and this is one of the subjects that is very close to her heart because children are indeed a part of her great desire to make Georgia better in terms of the safety of those children. My wife, Sandra.
Well, thank you all so very much for your attention and interest in our children. You know, they are so precious, and especially for those mothers who have carried those babies for 9 months, to have that baby be born healthy and safe, and then to lose a child because of somebody's carelessness, whether it's our own or someone else's, just devastates you. And I've seen marriages break apart as a result of the guilt and the things that happen to people when they fail to take those necessary precautions, not on purpose, but just carelessness. And those lives are just too precious. And so we need to drill it into our children, drill it into the caretakers, into our own families, our husbands, and even ourselves. We have to renew this over and over and have reminders. And I would suggest that you put your personal belongings in the back seat behind your seat. Your purse, maybe even your cell phone to keep you from being on it during the time that you're driving. Other things that will remind you, a briefcase, so that you have to get it out of the car. It makes you look again. And that's the most important way I think we can save our children. And the other way, of course, is to be vigilant as we see those cars in parking lots and places. I tend not to look inside, but we need to. I don't tend to be nosy about things, but we need to be nosy when it comes to our children. So if you're walking by a car and notice something doesn't seem right, or you see a child that's seeming to struggle, be sure you take the time to call for help, because you may be saving that child's life and a family a lot of grief. And so I would encourage you just to look again. It doesn't take much effort to look again. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Governor and Mrs. Deal. We do have a short PSA that we would like to show you on this screen. Children are our greatest resource. That's why we're reminding child care programs and families to always look again. 10 minutes is all it takes for the inside of the vehicle to reach deadly temperatures. So every time you get out of the car, check the front and back and then look again. Make sure the car is locked, even in your driveway or garage. And if you ever see a child left alone in a car, call 911 immediately. We can save lives if we all look again. So part of our campaign every year is a PSA, and we do hope that you will share that with anyone that you work with, come into contact with. It's available on our website at decal.ga.gov, and of course all of our social media, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. You can find it there. I do want to thank the teachers and the students at Druid Hills Child Development Center, which is a 3-star quality rated center right here in Atlanta, that helped us with the video this year. We also thank our partners at the Get Georgia Reading Campaign, National Summer Learning Association, and Clear Channel Outdoor Americas for a public service campaign this summer to stress the importance of keeping kids learning safe and healthy this summer. And you can learn more about their efforts at georgiasummer.org. This concludes our prepared remarks for this morning, but we have many resources that you can take back to your communities, your businesses, your organizations to help us continue to get this word out about Look Again. I also want to tell you that we actually have a hot car demo over at Liberty Plaza, and we set it up this morning, and it has an inside temperature and an outside temperature. And when it was set up this morning, the outside temperature was 77 degrees, and inside the car it was 78 degrees. But I just got a report just now that the outside temperature is 82.1, and inside it's 100 degrees in the vehicle. So that is obviously a dangerous situation if a child were to be left in that vehicle. So if you want to go check that out for yourself, walk over to Liberty Plaza and check that out. But we really appreciate your attention to this critical matter, and we hope that you will help us continue to share this important, simple message of look again. Have a great day.